What's up,
Hello.
Michael?
How are you?
Okay, I think we are now live on Facebook, and we are here for the June 29th, 2021 conference session of the Town Council. And I guess, Tara, you want to do the Open Public Meetings Act?
Sure. Adequate notice of this meeting, as required by the Open Public Meetings Act, was provided through the posting, mailing, and filing of the annual notice of regularly scheduled meetings of the Town Council on December 11, 2020. The notice was on that date posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, provided to the Westfield Leader and the Star Ledger, and filed with the clerk of the Town of Westfield.
Okay, and Acting Mayor Habgood, we have a quorum for this meeting. I know Mayor Brindle's on vacation with her family, so I'll jump right into this. We do have a presentation tonight in this session, and then of course we repeated at the public session from Topology about the redevelopment plan for the Handler building. But let me jump through the resolutions quickly. Under Finance Committee, we have resolutions for authorizing CFO to refund Recreation Department fees, a resolution authorizing CFO to draw warrant for overpaid taxes in 2021, a resolution authorizing the CFO to draw warrants for 2017 through 2020 pursuant to Tax Court of New Jersey, and a resolution confirming compliance to the local finance board rules regarding recommendations of the annual audit. I'll just make a comment there for a moment. We did provide everyone the audit report. Again, another difficult year in 2020, but the audit report is a very clean, good audit. Thanks to Scott Olson and his staff and all the departments. Another very good year audit-wise, and so that's a confirming resolution complying with the requirements. And then, as I indicated, we'll have to get away soon to get everybody to sign the required affidavit in person, which we'll do. But yeah, another good year and again a good audit, which is nice. Any questions on the finance items? No. Okay. Under Code Review and Town Property, we have three resolutions. First is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with the County of Union to modify the cooperative agreement this is an annual resolution. This allows us to gain access to community development block grant monies, which we do get every year. We get some money, we usually apply, and we also help other organizations in town apply. So that's also a good thing. Two is a resolution to approve annual renewal of alcoholic beverage liquor licenses. And this is the annual renewal of the licenses for all the people who have licenses. I think, Tara, there's one license that needs more information to renew. This is not in use right now, but everything else is in order with the police and your office.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. Ready to go on the other.
And then the last one is a resolution to approve peddlers licenses, which is is going to see more of this this time of year. So that's it under Code Review and Town Property for resolutions. And Public Works, we have three rather exciting resolutions, depending how you look at it, for David tonight. First, resolution award a contract for purchase of Public Works equipment. This is our front-end loader purchase for Public Works. They're very excited about this. This is part of our capital budget in 2021 for that department. So that's a replacement front-end loader. The other two resolutions were bids that we had out. We did accept bids this past week for two of our state aid jobs. So Willow Grove Road paving, the entire length, that's fully funded by state aid. And resolution to award 2021 improvement on Prospect Street between, I think it's between Dudley and, where is it here? Let's see. Yeah, it's between Dudley and Brightwood, I'm pretty sure. That's funded partially by state aid and also partially by the Union County Infrastructure Grant. So those are being awarded tonight. And then our new engineer will be having a pre-construction meeting with both firms to begin that work. And again, we hope to get that work done in the summer because both the roads are by schools. So that's under Public Works. We do have one ordinance on first reading tonight under Code Review and Town Property, which is General Ordinance 2219, an ordinance adopting the Handler Building redevelopment plan. And again, this comes after a lot of discussion we've been having for a while. But this is you'll hear from Topology tonight about the redevelopment plan details itself, which we'll present here, as well as in the public session for the public to review. So first reading tonight of this ordinance, it then is referred to the planning board for their review. And then if they, whatever comments they may have, or if any, they'll come back to the council for a public hearing and potential adoption of that plan. So that's on first reading tonight under your committee, Mark Parmalee. Lastly, we do have one event request, which was in your package. Union County, now that the pandemic is on the way out, hopefully, we are back to doing some events. Union County, if you remember, did their really nice, successful first year event in 2019, Paint the Pond, which was their event. We assisted them with that. And they're asking again to do the Paint the Pond event in Minnewaska Park, July 17th. It's basically their event. We assist them with tables, tents, and chairs, and Public Works to put the painted homes on the pond for them, which was very successful last time. So that's their event request for, I think, July 17th. That's a Sunday, Dawn? No, it's a Saturday. It's a Saturday. So anyway, there's no conflicts with that date. So if everyone's okay with that, we can do the normal request for insurance and those type of things. But they're eager to do it again. It was very highly successful last time.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And I think we also, I think last time we didn't really have, I think the AIC was newly formed, but I think the AIC is interested in being partnered with this as well. The Access and Inclusivity Committee, I believe. I know Councilman Darty, you're the liaison to that, I think.
Yes, certainly encouraging the AIC to spread the word about this important event and encourage others to participate, of course.
Good. So that's it for those items. Any questions before we get to the presentation from Topology? Everyone's quiet. Okay.
One thing before the presentation, Jim, is just an opportunity afterwards to just give folks an update on the recent Public Safety Committee meeting.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, we'll get that right after we'll Chris and Phil do their thing here with, I think Don's here too. So we'll turn it over to Chris and Phil to do your stuff. You can share your screen if you need to.
Okay, thanks so much.
Great.
And thanks for having us this evening. I'm going to share my screen now. My name is Chris Colley. I'm a planner with Topology. As you probably know by now, we're redevelopment planners for the town of Westfield. I'm also joined by Phil Abramson, who's our principal and CEO. And we're here this evening to give you what I think should be a relatively brief, like 5-7 minute presentation to provide an overview on the Handler redevelopment plan, which is on the agenda for potential introduction this evening. This is the second redevelopment plan that we're presenting to this council, but just as a matter of introduction, redevelopment plan is basically a fancy word for a change in zoning. And that's what the document that you have for consideration today will do. Oftentimes much more detailed than traditional zoning, creates more opportunities than traditional zoning, but at its core, a change in zoning. So we're talking about a property that I think you all know probably quite well. We know it as the Handler building, Handler Manufacturing. It's located along North Avenue East, east of downtown, close to the Garwood border, block 3305, lot 4. If that sort of thing resonates with you, it's about 1.12 acres. And it's a building that's had a bunch of different identities over its life, but it's sort of always been an industrial building. It's had a variety of different industrial users over time. And it sits on this sort of oddly shaped pentagon parcel located, as I noted, on North Avenue East, sort of sandwiched in between Westfield Lumber to the east and American Tire and Auto to the west. So the structure, which I'll show you some more images of in a second, it's about a 30,000 square foot floor plate, one story primarily throughout, with a second floor mezzanine up here along North Avenue. So just to take you inside the building and outside for a moment, just if you haven't been by the property recently, you can get a sense of what it looks like. This image here is taken along North Avenue. This is the structure here on the right. It's a masonry structure. It's got these sort of large industrial style windows. This is the main area on the first floor, poured concrete floor, higher ceilings in certain areas. This is sort of a single height area. This is the loading area on the eastern edge of the property. You'll note the loading zone here. This is that sort of second story mezzanine that I referred to earlier. And then, the building on the inside, like it's had a long industrial history. It's sort of in various states of various conditions throughout the structure. It's had some wear and tear from its life as an industrial property. So just a little bit of important, I think, background before we actually get into the meat of the plan itself. This building was constructed sometime in the early 20th century, depending on what source you look at. The years may change, but early 20th century. As I noted, like there have been a bunch of different operators that have located themselves in the building over time. For your local purposes in 2021 or whatever, Handler Manufacturing, which is like a dental manufacturing company, has operated there for roughly 50 years until recently, as well as I said, other tenants. Like significantly for our discussion tonight and for this document, and frankly for a lot of the work that the council's been doing in recent weeks, the site has long been considered as a potential location for residential development, for inclusionary zoning, affordable housing. In May of 2013, this body adopted the existing zoning, which is the NAAH Inclusionary Zoning District. That was adopted in 2013, but based on conversations with Don, the town planner, that's something that had been contemplated in town documents dating back a long period before that. That zoning district, which is in place today, although it would be superseded if you choose to adopt this redevelopment plan, permits residential development, roughly 25 units an acre, and would provide a minimum of 6 affordable units.
Chris, real quick, I saw this building was under contract in April of this year. Now, how's that possible if we changed in June of 21, the amendment to the Affordable Housing Agreement, which this council voted to increase Williams Nursery? So just how is that?
Private property owners are, free to put property under contract at any point.
Yeah, but if this was designated for affordable housing, how did Mr. Reddington able to move forward with the purchase?
I mean, Mr. Reddington is free to put property under contract, much like anybody else would, regardless of what the zoning is. And I'll walk you through the change as we work through this timeline. But an important, sort of step in here that's just worth noting for the council. In October of 2020, you passed an area in need of rehabilitation designation for the town. And that's the designation that this plan is based on. So this is a rehab designation. It's not a redevelopment designation. And like the significant thing for you all to understand and for the public to understand is what that means is that this property, redevelopment on this property would not be eligible for a pilot or for a long-term exemption. So just one other significant bit of history, which is really sort of an important thing that leads us to our plan this evening, is in June of 2021, this council adopted an amendment to the housing element. And what that amendment did, like most fundamentally as it relates to this property, is it relocated the 6 affordable housing units that were supposed to go here under the previous zoning, and it moved them to the Williams Nursery. And what it says in that housing element is that the Handler building would be permitted to be reused and via a redevelopment plan for commercial purposes. So that's sort of the key fact that leads us to tonight and this potential introduction of the redevelopment plan.
So Chris, you're saying in June of 21, if we didn't vote to on June 29th, Mr. Reddington would got his money back for the purchase, or?
I can't speak to what Mr. Reddington's contract
I understand how he was able to purchase a property with prior knowledge that we were changing this ordinance.
I can't speak to that.
Yeah, and the prior ordinance allowed it didn't make it so it couldn't be developed. It was for housing purposes. So he's a builder. He could have built it for something else that involved taking the building down.
He could have built it for affordable units.
Well, it would have been mixed income, market rate, and affordable.
Don, would you be able to walk us through a timeline on this?
Mark,
I don't understand. It's going back to when, Councilman?
To when the building was purchased versus when we changed the ordinance on June 29th for the redevelopment plan. I mean, you could realize we're increasing Williams Nursery by 32 units.
Yeah, I don't know when the building was purchased or if there's still a contract purchaser. From the zoning perspective or redevelopment plan perspective, in a sense, the owner is irrelevant.
Right, but you got to realize the council changed without council knowledge. We changed the number of units up until the day we voted, but I'll let Chris finish the presentation.
Okay, so that's the background. And I'm going to sort of walk you through the plan overview is going to be a little shorter than some of the previous presentations we've done for you because it's a single property. You know, towns and municipalities elect to do redevelopment plans for different reasons. You know, sometimes it's about historic preservation, sometimes it's about design or any number of other different things. And in this case, like really the key element of this plan is the sort of unique use and collection of uses that are being permitted here. And the unique use that is going to allow the town to see an adaptive reuse of this vacant structure and frankly, like accomplish, move towards accomplishing some of the goals that are in your master plan documents and other documents, particularly around like creating vibrant business environments on key corridors, in this case, North Avenue. So like the key use that is in this plan, and frankly, the only permitted principal use that is in this plan is the creation of an indoor vertical farm. And I'm going to speak just for a moment about indoor vertical farming generally. You know, this is a sort of growing field of agriculture. It's something that is obviously can be done year round. Unlike other forms of agriculture, it minimizes transportation costs. You know, you don't have much farming occurring locally in Westfield or in Union County more generally. So it's got that sort of local element to it. It allows you to grow a wide variety of crops, often leafy greens. I will note, in case it does come up, like the redevelopment plan specifically prohibits cannabis. So I know you have a different ordinance, but just for sort of belt and suspenders, that's prohibited here as well. But really, this plan directs the majority of the structure towards indoor vertical farming and towards that primary use. It's not just a vertical farm though. There are accessory uses and sort of other ancillary uses that can be permitted under this redevelopment plan. So like an indoor vertical farm as defined under this plan needs to have a retail sales area, a place where, you know, people from Westfield or otherwise can purchase the goods, an area for the operator to do sort of R&D and whatnot on different growing strategies. And then a variety of, I think, exciting accessory uses, a restaurant, a teaching kitchen, a place where people can sort of come in and learn like how to cook and bake and whatnot, and other things defined in there. And then what we're sort of generally calling special purpose rooms, which are like classrooms, event spaces, and things of that nature. So at its core, indoor vertical farm, but the plan allows for this sort of range of different accessory and ancillary uses. So, you know, I don't have like renderings today, right? Because really this plan is about the rehab of the structure. So like the existing building will remain under this plan, and all of the standards in there are very explicit that is the purpose of this project, to rehabilitate this building. There are some design standards in there that speak to general characteristics about that, but the goal is to take this industrial structure and really reuse it, sort of revive it, and like rethink it for the new world. And also, you know, the existing layout is generally going to remain. So there's 42 parking spaces on site. The plan requires the vast majority of those to be maintained. Obviously, there are going to have to be site improvements that are going to need to be made to make this functional, to make this operational. But generally, the layout that you're going to see on site is going to be consistent with what currently there is. So just to close, and then we can answer whatever questions there might be. You know, tonight's June 29th, 2021. You're considering this redevelopment plan for potential introduction. Should you introduce it, it will go to the planning board for a consistency review. At that time, we'll do a much more detailed presentation about what the master plan says about this site and about North Avenue generally, and how that relates to the redevelopment plan. And then ultimately would come back to the council for a second reading and potential adoption. And then finally, a potential consideration of the redevelopment agreement. I hope that the previous project, Westfield Crossing, like you got a sense in terms of the details that go into those redevelopment agreements. And I think what we said around that time was like a redevelopment plan sort of creates a structure, creates the framework, creates the zoning, right? And the agreement is really where we sort of color in the lines about a lot of those details. So that wraps up my remarks this evening. I'm here, Phil's here, and happy to answer any questions. And we'll do it all again for the full meeting in a half hour. So thank you.
Great. Any questions?
Yeah, hey,
Just
hi,
a
Chris.
comment.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead, David.
Oh, thanks, Mike. No, thanks for that nice summary. I think this is a great addition to Westfield. And I really think it's great that we're able to save this building and repurpose it rather than knock it down. I'm just curious, like in terms of the redevelopment agreement, how detailed will you get with it? Like I thought you guys did a great job with Westfield Crossings down to brick color and actual style. You know, is it that detail oriented, or is it more higher level? Like maybe you could just compare and contrast a little bit for me to better understand what the redevelopment agreement
Yeah, of course.
would look like.
So, I mean, like a big difference between this and Westfield Crossing is Westfield Crossing had that park, right? Which there was a lot of detail that had to go into that. It had a couple of other sort of like elements like that. And it was also a ground up building, right? So there was a lot more architecture to get into. And I don't think that we're going to specify in this redevelopment agreement like what types of crops they're going to grow in this building or anything like that. But I will say that if you go on page 31 of the redevelopment plan, and I'll highlight some of them, we've included just a bunch of attachments that should the council think that they're essential to feeling comfortable about this project, that we can work with the potential redeveloper to include. And that ranges from things like renderings of the rehab structure, development qualifications, sort of photometric studies, sustainable design strategies, traffic impact studies, and things of that nature.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I do think traffic is always one that we need to be mindful of, you know, at North Avenue. And I don't know, are they anticipating you said 42 spots, is that considered enough for this farm and the number of employees or not enough, or do we not know yet?
Well, so what I can tell you about the parking is we, for the restaurant uses, took the existing standard from the zoning, which is 1 space per 2 seats. And that's also true for the teaching kitchen and the other rooms. We just took the existing zoning. For the vertical farm, you have a standard in your existing ordinance for farm, nursery, and garden centers. And we thought that that was a use that very closely approximated like the anticipated parking demands for this use. Right? You don't see a lot of, there's not a lot of pre-existing zoning codes for indoor.
Right.
Like that was one that we thought was as good a comparable as we could. We also did include in the plan circumstances and a sort of procedure whereby offsite parking could be approved based on submissions at the planning board stage. And that would primarily service like the special purpose rooms and things of that nature. So I'd feel confident that the standards that we include in the plan are consistent with your existing zoning. We did spend quite a bit of time working through the procedures in there. And I think that if you look through that section of the plan, you'll find it to be quite detailed.
Okay, thank you.
Mike?
Yeah, so my questions were similar to David's, although I would just make one, I guess you'd call it suggestion or request, and that is to please consider solar panels for the roof, if you haven't already.
Yeah, so there is a provision in there encouraging the use of solar panels. So yes, and that's something that maybe when we get into the redevelopment agreement phase, we can push for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, one nice thing about this is, I mean, Chris, is there a hydroponic farm anywhere around here? Like this could become a destination for people to come, particularly if there's education associated with it. This becomes this drives visitors to Westfield. It drives, outsiders to come here, which, it has a ton of benefits, but that's another one that I think it's worth mentioning.
Yeah, I agree, David. I think this could be transformative. I think during COVID, I think a lot of us were concerned where our food was coming from. And I think this is really, really an interesting project. So.
Good. Anyone else?
I just want to ask a timeline on the site plan for Williams Nursery. I know they went to file earlier this year. If there's any updates, maybe Don would know if there's update on when Williams Nursery is filing the site plan.
No, I haven't spoken to them for probably 4 or 6 weeks now. I would presume that they're working on plans to reflect the new zoning, but I haven't heard from them as to exactly when they'd be submitting.
Okay, so because I know they were going to file early this year, but okay, thanks, Don.
Do we also know, Chris, how many jobs are going to get created as a result of this transformation?
I don't really have a good number on that.
But we do know that the actual farming part of it is relatively low labor intensive, which is why we felt comfortable with parking ratios where we did.
Got it. Okay. No, it will create some jobs, which.
On the restaurant side, and I think to answer your earlier question, there is an aero farm in Newark, which is an aeroponic in Newark's industrial district. But I think something like this, I've never seen or heard of something like this where it has a restaurant, and you know the project sponsor, Greg Reddington, it's about a lifestyle thing and about kind of you know, anybody who's kind of done the vegetarian vegan thing kind of understands that it can be a bit of a journey, and some people end up creating hydroponic vertical farms as a result of that, and that's what it was for him and his family. So I think it's going to be much more of like a center of that culture, as much as an industrial operation.
Okay, Dawn?
Oh,
Go ahead, Dawn.
go ahead, Don. You're on mute, though.
Go ahead,
How
Dawn.
about, how about
You want me
this?
to go
No,
first? Okay, go ahead.
I wanted to add that I think it's really great that we're going to have a hydroponic farm, an electric car dealer, transforming that part of North Avenue. It's like the entrance to Westfield is now going to reflect part of our goals, which is to become a more sustainable, greener community. I think that that's really, it's quite amazing.
Right. Dawn, I was going to say a couple of similar things. It seems like a win-win to me, that we were able to accommodate the affordable housing units. We're actually reducing the number of overall units that we're adding, because the affordable housing is done on a percentage basis, not on a, on a overall basis. So, but it's also going to invite, I hope, other innovation and, creative entrepreneurship onto that corridor, which right now is underutilized. And so it's very exciting to see this be, a foundational development for that corridor.
I agree.
That's a good point, but I've been getting inquiries on North Avenue about some of the businesses closing and TD Bank closing suddenly. So residents are asking if there's any other plans at this time. So that I'm not aware of, but there are TD Bank closed and a few other businesses.
So you would agree that it's a great idea?
Well, right now well, we don't know. What's Don, do you have any updates? What's going on along North Avenue?
Well, I'll just chime in for a second, Don. So TD Bank's been closed for some time. But I think there's another, trying to think what it's called, Don, but there's another private property owner that's looking to do an as-of-right project on North Avenue, right?
That's right. Yeah, a number of properties are owned by an estate. And I believe those have, or they're up for sale. They may be under contract, if not purchased already.
But I think it's important, as if this agreement goes through and it shows the viability of this corridor, doesn't that attract more business to the corridor? Because you're showing it's viable and it's energetic and something unique is coming here that will bring traffic in from other towns. So I would think it has a cascading positive effect. I don't know, Don, Chris, or Phil, if you guys would agree, but logically it feels like it would.
Yes, I would
Absolutely.
agree. If you're having concerns about the commercial viability of a corridor, bringing in a viable, attractive business would be a good way to counteract that.
Because I mean, Mark,
would
right now.
also-
Oh, sorry, Mike.
Yeah, and I would also say even a more pressing need to improve the infrastructure of that corridor, right, Jim? Sidewalks, signage.
Bike lane, road, the whole thing.
Crosswalks.
Right. And another example of adaptive reuse. The Redcon building itself is a good example of that. And so that's what we want to be encouraging. It's very loud and clear in the master plan.
Good. Okay. So Chris and Phil, you'll be back for the 8 o'clock meeting. Do your show again, and then the council will then consider taking action on that. I think before we end this meeting, Mike, you had a public safety committee report you wanted to make?
Yeah. So I would like to just talk about a few of the 20 items that we discussed last week, starting with our ongoing study of Lawrence Avenue and Walnut Street. That intersection has been a topic of our conversation for quite a while, and I want to just thank all the neighbors in that area who have been patiently waiting for us to provide them with some data on where we're going with the proposed center island. They had asked us to do some speed studies, which we've done. We're now going to do a speed study for the, I guess that would be for the northerly direction of Lawrence Avenue. We did the southerly. So we're going to do that and get back to those residents in a sort of a neighbor meeting, hopefully very soon with those data. So that's where we're at with that. We also talked about on West Broad, some issues there related to speeding. A business owner there had pointed out that there's ongoing speeding there, particularly, as cars come off of South Avenue onto West Broad. She owns her business at the corner of Osborne and West Broad. So she pointed out that there are a lot of issues there that could be improved. So her suggestions were taken back to this committee, and we shared them with our traffic consultant, who's doing an assessment of that intersection and a little bit of, before and after that corridor, to give us some suggestions on how to improve things. And our police department have already started by putting a message board out there that clearly states that people need to slow down because the speed limit does change from 35 as you're coming from Scotch Plains to 25. Okay, one other thing that I just want to point out that we discussed was hey, a big update regarding our Center Island experiment, if you will, at South Euclid and St. Mark's for maybe about a year now. We had that in place, and those temporary center islands there have proven to be quite successful. No accidents, knock on wood, since we put those in place. And so we're going to this summer replace that temporary setup with a permanent one, and the neighbors there will be happy to see that aesthetically it'll be improved, and so the safety remains, only better looking. The temporary center island will hopefully then be placed at the intersection of Boulevard and Summit. We proposed that recently with Jim, Chief Bataloro, and Town Councilman Contract. We met with a bunch of neighbors out there at the corner of Boulevard and Grove, and went through our proposal. Got some really good feedback from the neighbors there, and they emphasized that we need to continue measuring for speeding there, which we will. Not only on Boulevard, but on Grove. I think that was their big emphasis. And then Dave and I, Councilman Contract, met with a couple more residents the following night, maybe it was Wednesday night, about the same issue, those who did not get to meet with us the first time. We talked with them, again, got some good feedback that we'll bring back to the committee. And so all in all, a really good meeting. And I'll just ask if there are any questions, anything pressing?
Yeah, Mike, more importantly about Central, and I spoke to Jim. We're going to look at the timing of that light because I'm getting numerous complaints about the backup on Central into Clark.
At Terminal, yeah, right.
Residents wanted us to look at that sooner. I think we said we'll look at that in September. So for the folks out there on Central, Jim, that's still the plan, to look at that light in Terminal Way in September?
Yeah, and the reason for September, and the committee had discussed this, we talked to our consultant, this is not a light that's in our jurisdiction. So we have to actually have data to support a change and give it to the neighboring jurisdiction. So we don't want to have counts in the summertime where the counts may not be accurate with the proper number of cars are actually traveling through. So you wait till school, people are back at work in September, do the counts, and then we'll give them to Clark and the county and request that the timing be changed. What we're looking to do there is give more time to the green light as you come over the bridge, over the tracks as you go into Clark from Westfield, because there seems to be a little too much time given to the left-hand turn lane on the terminal when you're coming up from the Parkway. And we think if we can change some of the timing there to allow more cars to get through as you go over the bridge into Clark. So the counts have to be done properly in September to have accurate counts of the true volume, and then we'll be able to make some changes, and we can either do that. Clark can work with us, or we may be able to do it on our own with Clark's approval. So that's where the process is there.
Thanks, Jim.
Yep. Okay.
And Jim, I just wanted to thank Councilman Dardia and you and Chief Bataloro. You guys really, spent a lot of time with residents in Ward 3 addressing the Boulevard and Grove issue. So I really appreciate it. I do think, and I've shared this, that there's still more speeding issues. So I had a question, which is, I know we put into the capital budget, Jim, buying some more of the speed signs, the digital. Where can you just comment on where we are in the process of acquiring those? And maybe Mike, you could talk a little bit about how we're going to deploy those, because I think they're a really effective tool. And I know we've been embracing it more and more, and I appreciate that. But let's update the public on how we're going to use them.
Yeah, I would agree that they're very effective in where we started using them. So yeah, I know that we do have budgeted dollars for these signs. And I think at this time, Jim and Chief Bataloro are identifying, the actual signs that we're going to purchase. And as far as deploying them, we've got a number of locations that I think that would be ideal for them. As we've discussed in this meeting previously, not this particular meeting, but a public safety meeting, Lawrence is a great candidate. Grove could be another. Yeah, certainly we got a lot of feedback around Boulevard. So yeah, but I'll allow the chief and Jim to talk about the actual purchase.
Sure, just real quick, Chief and I even talked about this today. So just to be clear for the public, we have speed boxes we use. We move them around very quickly to various streets to collect data and show speed for people there. These are, what we're talking about is different. These are more permanent installations showing speed. And we've had some experience with some of them. We want to make sure we buy the ones that are most effective for us, not only to control and show people what they're doing, but also gives us data to help us do enforcement and or other things. So Chief Bataloro and his traffic bureau are looking into the ones we want to get that'll serve us the best. And we do have money, like you said, Councilman, that's in our capital budget to buy a number of them this year, and we'll be able to deploy them. In some cases permanently, other cases we can put them there for some time and remove them and put them somewhere else. So they are still portable, but they're meant to be a little more permanent than just moving the boxes right after every 2 to 4 weeks. So, but yeah, we'll be looking at those and hopefully making a decision to purchase a bunch in the month of July, and to be able to deploy them this summer. One other thing to mention, just on the other note of the islands, I met with our new engineer today. We actually went out to Grove and Boulevard, went out to St. Mark's and Euclid, so I wanted to show him physically the islands and what we're doing there. And so he is aware, he'll be talking to our contractor about scheduling that once they start the work on the paving in town. So that's, he's aware of it. He's seen them, in firsthand, which is good.
Great.
Great.
Jim,
Okay.
I had a couple quick things. Is festival being planned for the fall? Do we know yet?
Festival was not requested by the chamber earlier this year. They do want to come back to us and discuss something, but right now we're not requested and not approved at this point, and not planned at this point. But I do expect them to come back to us at some point to consider something for the fall.
Okay, all right, that's great. And then you'll give a road paving update in the 8 o'clock meeting.
Yes.
Okay, great. Everything going okay with that?
Yeah, everything's going good. Yeah, Elizabethtown Gas is proceeding, and our contractor should be starting by next week.
Okay, great. And I know there's a proclamation tonight to recognize Chris McAloon. He's not in this meeting, but hopefully he's going to be in the next one.
Yeah, he will be there.
Okay.
He's trying to get all the meetings he can. So I will tell you, if you want to see him, I do have him here. If you want.
That's great.
We had a little get together on Friday for his last day, and a lot of Chris McAloon faces around the office. So, yeah, he'll be there at 8 o'clock. And so why don't we have if there's anyone in the public that wants to speak here for the last few minutes of the meeting, please raise your hand to be heard, and we can call upon you. Maximum of 3 minutes. Name and address. Anyone want to be heard at this meeting? Seeing none, I guess we can. Unless there's any other comments from anybody, we can close this meeting.
Jim, I had one quick question. Can you just give an update on when we'll be meeting in person? I've got 1 or 2 emails about that.
Sure, we do. We're hoping to meet in person at our July 13th meeting. Only thing that's pending there, the roof project was supposed to start this week. They delayed it because of the heat wave. So I assume that'll be done by then, but but yeah, we do expect to have council meeting in person in the council chambers on July 13th. And that's pending the roof project being done. And of course, there will be other work going on for many months as we finalize contracts for upgrading the council chamber. So that'll be going on for months as we go there. So the room will be available for use, but there'll be maybe some wires hanging out of the wall and other things being installed, but we'll be able to meet in person on July 13th. If something changes with that, obviously we'll let the public know. We'll be back on this for July 13th, but it should be ready to go.
Great.
Great. Okay. I guess we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Right, all in favor?
Yes.
All right, so we'll see everybody in about 10 minutes.
Great.
Same link,
Yes.
right, Jim?
What's that?
Yeah.
Same link?
Same link, yes. Yep. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.